Welcome to episode 8 of All Tingz Sobriety. Today we welcome Brenna Dotson, founder of Slo.ber.cal. Brenna is a Central Coast native. She has been sober now for 2.5 years, and she found her calling through an online creator and community that goes by Your Sober Pal. She signed up for an experience with other sober women, and it inspired her to start a similar sober community-style gathering right here in the 805. Brenna was sober curious for many years and would do stints of sobriety, but it wasn't until she saw the numbers of her health declining and fractured relationships that she was able to create a lasting change. As a fellow Virgo, she logically planned out how she was going to maintain a sober lifestyle with precision. Here is a beautiful thread of Brenna's story. I hope you enjoy. Today I have Miss Brenna with us. She is the founder of Slo.ber.cal, and this is a sober gathering community in the Central Coast, essentially. So what I believe, and I'll have her tell us a little bit more about how she started this and how it's growing and where she is today. But essentially, Brenna hosts like monthly meetups and or like picnics or indoor spaces or whatever she creates and brings the sober community together. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and I want to talk a little bit, let Brenna share her sobriety transformational story, who she was, why she got sober, and some of the things that have influenced her to be at the point where she is today. So welcome, Brenna.
Hello.
Yeah. So do you want to start by just explaining exactly kind of the gatherings that you host?
Sure. So my name's Brenna. I started Slo.ber.cal in last September, so it's still in the beginning stages, in my opinion, still growing. Um, you know how the sober community is more introverted and shyer, I think. But I think that community is super important, especially in your early sobriety, because I just remember my first year, it was like, where do I go? What do I do? How do I get to know people like within interests that I like? So it actually kind of sprung off because there's this girl online, her name's Your Sober Pal, and she has this other YSP Adventures, so Your Sober Pal Adventures, and she does like sober retreats for women. And so, you sign up for the retreat and you go to different places. I went to one last August in Washington, and it's a few days, with sober women from all over the US. You get a bunk mate. You get to know these women on like super deep levels. And I was like, it was like the first time I'd ever been in an environment where there was no alcohol present, like in my whole life. This what Your Sober Pal retreat or YSP Adventures retreat. And I was just like thrown back by it, like so shocked with how I felt and like how like my happiness was like, it's like, oh, like, and it felt encouraging and uplifting and felt super strong, like in my sobriety. So I was like, how do I get that like at home? Because San Luis Obispo, bless its heart, it's a big booze area, wine industry, microbreweries, lots of bars, lots of liquor stores. So I'm like, how do I do like this? Because it was like a Your Sober Adventures. So it's hiking, yoga. So a lot of the retreat was like hiking and yoga. And, part of my sobriety and staying sober, I have to be active and be outside, hike, go to the gym. So Your YSP Adventures kind of help motivate me to build a community more locally. Well, it's usually like coffee, picnics, hiking, exploring the different areas of San Luis for locals who, we only maybe know our little areas where we're from, but also add in the like, let's explore areas we don't know in the county because there's just so many cool things in San Luis Obispo that don't involve drinking. We just have to, seek them out a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. You have to give up the lifestyle, and then you find all these treasures, or like you've heard, like at least for me in my drinking journey, like I'd heard of all these places. I'm like, yeah, it sounds cool. Like never been, and then I got sober, and I actually like started going to some of these places. And I've lived in this county for like ever, and you're like, wow, this is actually really badass. Like, why didn't I do this sooner?
Yeah. And I think as you connect in the community, the sober community, you're like, wow, there's way more people involved than I thought. Or, there's all these people doing all these great different things that I didn't even know about. And I personally want to investigate. There's so much to investigate, but it's like, you know, it's like, I'll get there eventually. Like there's some, think, what is it? There's some like other retreats that usually are like sober encouraged, and there's like the dancing, there's ones that do dancing and more of shows, and I haven't done any of that. Drum circles, like they're there. It's like, you know uh, if our the schedule's aligned to get there. So
Really?
anyways, but
Yeah.
yeah, so that's that.
How are your so talk about like the past few events that you put together and created, and like what was the feedback? What was the vibe? Like were people super stoked, and where'd you guys go? Like talk a little bit about yeah, your previous experiences and maybe some of the ones you have like that are coming up shortly.
Sure. So like I said, the ball hasn't rolled so fast as I probably want it to. I'm lucky that I have like family and friends who are like sober curious on and off that and like my boyfriend's sober curious, I'd say. Like he's been sober for almost a year. Um but he wasn't as bad off as I was, so I don't know if he'll be a permanent sober residence, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But so there's been a lot of it's been like a lot of my friends and family that have come to them. I have had a few that did have people I didn't know, like I did a bowling one in January. In February, we like set up at the tide pools, like you bring your own picnic lunch.
Yes.
We go down to the tide pools for a few hours. Like I did my research on that one like for a few weeks trying to figure out like the tide schedules
Mm-hmm.
and the day, and also make sure it wasn't, a busy day, and then the timing of the tides has to line up. So that was like in February. Then we did in May, I kind of did like the Paso Robles Olive and Lavender Festival.
Oh,
So
cool.
I had everyone kind of, me to go get coffee first and then walk over to the festival, and I set up a picnic area and then was like, "Oh, go find a item to bring back and we'll kind of make a shared charcuterie board." So it's like share what you found. So go support all the, little businesses at the festival. Maybe grab some olives, some honey, some salami, whatever, crackers, and then bring it back, and we kind of just like made a picnic out of that.
Cute.
Um,
Wait, I love this, Brenna. Like the bowling, the tide pools, the
that
picnic.
one,
Like these are
yeah,
good. Like these are
they're
really juicy.
they're fun, and it's like I was always like when I was younger, I did a lot of babysitting, nannying, like when I was
Yeah.
transitioning, especially from starting grad school. And I watched like a lot of my cousins, and there'd be several of them, maybe three of them, and if I could fit them in my car, we'd go somewhere like locally. So I started to investigate back then, what can I do for free that I could entertain the kids with, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about my events. My events are like mostly like everyone's been child friendly because, there it would maybe I'll do an adult only event at some point, but because I do know that the sober community, there are people in the sober community who have kids and they need to be able to bring the kids somewhere, while doing
Yeah.
something for themselves in their sobriety journey. I just want to keep that space kind of open. So that's how it's been so far. Oh, okay. So then um another one we did. Oh, I went to Los Osos in June. So we met at like Nautical Bean, got our coffee, went over to the boardwalk, the
Right.
Baywood Pier, kind
Yes.
of, did some bird watching. I brought binoculars. And then we like caravanned over to the Elfin Forest, and then we went on the boardwalk in there, you know, gave my nephew who was there the map. He was so happy to guide us through. We looked at, wildlife and the the plants and stuff, and then, uh went to lunch. A few of us, it didn't work out for the lunch, but like it's supposed to end with like lunch, and but um time crunch, it kind of just dispersed after that. But we
Yeah.
did like, let's go look at there's that store in Los Osos. It's really cool if you've never been there. It's like wild as heck.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
such a cute store. So I went in there, and that was kind of how I ended it. And then the one that's in a couple weeks, there's one on, which I don't know if anyone will see before this airs, but July 18th, it's gonna be in Oceano. So kind of same deal. Cause like I like coffee, I like food, so and I like to be active. So that's usually how they go for the most part. I mean, I've done a couple indoors, the bowling thing, for example. But it's usually like get a coffee or get some food, bring a picnic, and
Yes.
then this one we're gonna go like walk through the dunes, like the back of the dunes, so there's no recreational vehicles back there. And I live in Oceano, but I've never done one in Oceano, so I'm like,
Perfect.
oh, I get to do it in my backyard this time. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and
That
then
sounds
August is Rio Grande. So that one's
okay.
another like hike. That's kind of around my birthday too. So I wanted to kind of rent a space in the park and maybe do like cornhole and bocce ball and like make it more like activity outside door activity driven. And
Fun.
then
Very
picnic, of course.
summery. Oops.
Yeah. So that one details are, and then I am doing a pop-up on August 8th in the morning. It's like a quick stretch sesh. I'm having my trainer actually. She is in sober uh journey as well and for many years. So she's actually doing like a stretch thing on pop-up in Shell Beach at the park in Shell
Sick.
Beach at
I
like
love
9:30.
this.
Yeah, like 9:30 in the morning.
I love the diversity too of it. Like you can tell that you've put a lot of thought into like really curating special places for people to have a really, really good, fun, sober experience. And like I just really want to say thank you for that because we need it. You know what I mean? And especially the extroverts and all the things. But yeah, maybe even doing like a nighttime one or something like that. But yeah, these
Yeah.
seem like very you that they're coming from a place that like things that you enjoy, but you're also thinking of like other people with family and children. And that's just really a beautiful thing. And I'm glad we have connected. And I'm really like glad that you're here serving the community in that way. So I just really want to say that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I definitely didn't think I'd be the one to bring it, but that's just how that was my journey, It's
It,
much different than I anticipated, but I'm appreciative of it because it helps me because I'm like a planner, so like having like a to schedule, knowing that I have these, it makes me excited to plan them. I didn't used to be that way. I used to be like, don't involve me in party or any planning. Like I don't,
just
you
tell
know,
me where to go.
don't want to be involved. But that's because I was like drinking, so it's like took away from my drinking. Like
Yeah,
now
it's
I have like all
like
this extra headspace, and I'm like, oh.
exactly.
Yeah, I want to get outside. Oh, I haven't really explored this area. And like that's the thing is I'm not an expert in all these areas. So, and it's hard to like touch out besides like because I'm from the five cities. I'm from Rio Grande, so I was born and raised in Rio Grande, moved out a few times here and there. But like I don't really have a community outside, like I don't have a big community in San Luis, North County, like I don't have that stretch. And I think this is the kind of thing that almost needs the word of mouth. With like once someone gets involved in it, then hopefully it'll trickle out because like it looks like I do have people interested. I have a people from the locals online that have following me, but haven't met a lot of them in person. Like people's like, I'm so excited, that sounds so cool, or but I just don't meet anybody. I did try to do like an Eventbrite for July 18th just so I get a head
Nice.
count
Yeah.
because I do have like three people I've never met before say they want to be involved, and I
Yeah.
hope that they do join, but it is pretty common for people to say that they'll come and they don't, and that's totally fine. But and I know it's hard to get out there. I know it's hard. So, and I like looking at myself from like my first year, trying to get by to, transitioning to this, it's like it does get easier, I think, the farther
Totally.
you get in and find your niche within it, whether that's hobbies or
Yeah.
getting outside or, making new friends or leaving old ones.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the things. Yeah, it's like it's it's kind of challenging in the beginning to like put yourself back out into the world in this like new bodysuit that you're wearing, right? And
Hmm.
like, you it sounds good, when you're like looking at the flyer, reading about it. You're like, I really want to do that, but when it comes down to it, people get they get anxious, especially if they're going through a big transformation and yeah, so it's hard. It takes a little bit of courage to get out there and start doing new things sober when you've always had like a crutch, in the past, and so it made it a lot easier to just say yeah. Um, so I mean, I experienced that kind of thing too when I would do ceremonies and stuff. There was a lot of interest online, and then you get there and it's like, not so much. But I understand,
Hmm.
But once you do and you start like kind of developing a new personality based on like all the self discovery and things that you've been going through, um, it gets really fun. You realize like, you don't have to like wear this mask or be anybody else. You can just like show up, meet new people, and like, have a good time sober. And there's so many of
Yeah.
us out here doing those things, like, you know.
Yeah.
You just
And
gotta,
I,
you gotta be, the whole journey of sobriety is about courage and bravery. And that's one
hmm
of those things, like learning how to be in social events with this new courage, this new bravery to like, step outside your comfort zone. And
yeah.
that's just part of it. That's part of the icebreaker.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly because like you don't, you gain like self-esteem,
Yes,
and just being yourself,
back.
not having the like, oh, like identifying like with alcohol, like I'm a wine drinker or I like my IPAs, and then at the same time that's you become your identity in the drinking, whereas like you have to completely rediscover your identity without it. But then like you build up a different kind of self-esteem in that process, knowing that like, man, if I could do without and I've been able to put myself out there, and then I could do a lot more things than I never thought I could do, just by going through the sobriety journey, like just
Mm-hmm.
shifted that, I think. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
for me
action.
personally.
Yeah, the action like gains momentum. Every
Hmm.
little like thing you do, you like gain this momentum, and like how I see it is you are regaining that true inner confidence that you thought alcohol gave you, but alcohol is actually taking your true confidence, right? So in
Hmm.
sobriety, it's like how do I build that back? And it's taking those small action steps, and over time you're like, "Oh shit, yeah, I can do that. I
Hmm.
just did that. I can do
Hmm.
anything, but it's a slow build back up. And that's part of the journey, and it's a beautiful part of the journey, right? Cuz I went to circles in the beginning too, and I was like, "All right, I'm going to try this. Like I'm going to put myself out there." And I was like, "Whoa, not for me." Like, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And then there's other ones that I was like, "Yeah, yeah, like I leave and I feel like more energized." So, um, finding people that are doing similar things as you that have a similar mindset, like all of that takes place and transpires within this journey.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to transition us a little bit. I want to talk about a little bit about your past. So,
Hmm.
how did you get to the woman who you are today? facilitating these experiences, holding space for community, curating these and hosting these amazing events. Um, give us a little give us a little taste of old Brenna, old version Brenna, her drinking habits, what her weekends look like, um,
Yeah.
all the little things that play like I want to see this picture painted here.
Sure. So, um, like I said, I'm from Rio Grande. I come from a very big family, uh, like extended family. Like my mom's one of 13 kids. So I have, and most of us live locally. So, we always had big events, like big birthdays, big baby showers, family reunions, watching sports,
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl parties, like everything's big. Everyone comes. That's like some of our holidays, you should see the amount of food. So I mean, I think I've been always like been in a social environment, although I'm kind of like more introverted as I find out. Like I'm definitely an extroverted person, but I think we talked about it before. I need to recharge, once my battery gets drained. And then I think back when I didn't start drinking really until I was probably 19. I didn't drink in high school. My mom was an alcoholic or is an alcoholic, and so I never drank in high school. I was like the square, if you will. Everyone relied on me for rides, and um, all my friends would drink or smoke weed or experiment with other things, and I was just this happy to be sober. I didn't want to be like my mom. I didn't want to be what I didn't like about her. And so I went into like not, I was like gonna be like, oh, I'm never gonna drink, like never, ever. And then I probably it was like right before I turned 19, I guess I started to drink and I like fell into with like a fraternity and sorority groups in my junior when I was in junior college at Cuesta. I started dating the wrong person that was like a drug dealer, and he was like 8 years older than me. And so it's like it kind of just like it started and then it accelerated. Like, I didn't really, if you look back on me, like I'm looking back on me now, I do think I've always had a problem since it started. It just kind of manifested in different ways.
Sure.
And I always found excuses to be like, why I don't have a problem, like, oh, like for example, at the beginning, 19, I was throwing up a lot, like lots of those nights we were just throwing up on the toilet for hours. And then when I got into college, I moved to Sacramento. My over drinking and partying went downtown dancing. It would manifest in like blacking out, going out, not remembering, you know, that. So that was in my like till I turned about 23, moved back to AG, rolled my car, got a
Shoot.
DUI,
Ooh,
like
girl.
just had to start to go to like a like had forced to go to AA meetings back then when you do all your classes, and then it was still like, oh, I don't have a problem, and like, I'm young and this I but it was always like up and down, like, and then I'd go through phases of up until I completely stopped of like my health, whether I was doing a cleanse or doing a 75 hard. And like I really probably started this like sober curious, and I always dated people who were drinkers, like heavy drinkers, and like it just was a pattern. I dated someone who, so that would just pull me in farther. No one to blame but myself in the end, because I let it obviously get to that point. But then, it accelerated so long, and then a couple of my friends did like a mini intervention for me, like in February of like 2020.
Okay.
So, and then my grandpa passed away,
Mm-hmm.
like, or he was in the hospital in February 2020, so pre-COVID, right? Month before. And I was like going to the hospital and like I was drowning. Like I thought I was being secret about it. People knew, that's why I had a minute intervention. Then on the intervention, things kind of fell off because we were in the pandemic. Everyone's supposed to be alone, right? I live alone. So it just kind of, what was open during the pandemic though? Liquor stores were open. So that I was home alone, sad, had just gotten like broken up with a couple months before that, and I just wallowed in it. And,
And
you
you
know,
mentioned to me, like, not to interrupt the story, but
yeah,
you mentioned to me, like, one thing, like, how you used to go to, like, different liquor stores, right?
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
you're not alone in that. So, like, I kind of want that
yeah,
to be, like, talked about.
totally. Yeah, I would bounce because there are a lot. Like, it's
There's
actually
a lot.
surprising. Like,
There's so many.
I'll go out of state. So I try to go to Tennessee
And you
once a
can't
year. Like,
find one.
yeah, no. Yeah, yeah, you can't find one. I like the closest one there like well, I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere when I go to Tennessee, so I don't really expect one to be close, but like they have like different rules and stuff, in different states about alcohol. But I would have to drive like 20 minutes and
Totally.
to in Tennessee, whereas like here there's probably 10 within 5 minutes, it's kind of mind and like I think I realize it more like not being in it how many there are. But yeah, I would bounce around and be like, okay, I went to that one yesterday. I can't go there again, like, oh, I'll go to this one today. And like there'd be times where I'd go on the because I've been probably like sober curious on and off since I was probably for like 6 or 7 years before
Mhm.
it's stuck. So I'd go through phases of like 30, 40 days, 75, string them together. And then I'd go back to one of the stores and the guy behind the counter would be like, oh, we were worried. We haven't seen you. And I was like, how embarrassing. Like, that's so embarrassing. But yeah, it's
It's
just
just
part
crazy.
of,
And you don't even like, those are things that like you don't realize are like huge red flags or like whatever. Like in the moment, you're just like, oh, whatever. Like you just laugh it off,
yes,
whatever. And then you get sober and you're like, actually, like,
that
what
was too
the
much.
hell?
I
You're
was
like,
get,
really though?
I was out of control. I was out of control.
That's wild,
And
girl.
and I had to save myself. Like, that's part of it. You like see yourself like doing bad, not like not being your best self, not being there for your friends,
Mhm.
not being there for your family, and you're just totally absorbed in it because and then like you obviously rationalize yourself out of it, confirmation bias constantly, like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm not as bad as this person, or oh, look, I could string together some days, and oh, one of those people that's like
anything.
permanently trying to moderate, like it's so much stress trying to moderate. It's like, why even bother if I can't do it? It takes so much, and now I have like looking back, I'm just like, that's just so crazy that I spent so much time. But then like honestly, the place that really got me here was I got because I'm a person of like my job is in numbers and facts, So
Yes.
I've always been kind of aware of my health, always tried to stay up on like when I like gained a bunch of weight from all the drinking, honestly. Um, I was like, you need to do something about this. And then I was like looking at blood work, and my liver was not good. Like it came out in the blood work, and I'm just like, took me like a couple more years after that to be like to obviously finally stick. But I was aware of it constantly going like, this isn't helping what your problem is, you can't just keep drinking because it's not going to help what your liver's sick, you know what I mean?
Totally.
So, and I'm just but so I needed and that's kind of how my sobriety date like was like a solid number. Like I planned it out knowing that that was going to be the end, like, and I wanted it to be a certain date and like get rid of all the liquor in my house, all the wine because I was in the wine industry for many years, and so like get rid of all my good wine, get rid of all of the things that were alcohol related in my house, all the shirts that like said like may contain wine or like
Yeah. Those
get rid of all my fun like
yeah.
everywhere in my house I had it was like decor like blah 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 wine or like wine goes with this or like I drink wine.
It's
But
crazy.
like, we really got down to it. I really did like hard stuff because it got you quicker.
It's big
But
Virgo energy to plan out your sobriety.
yeah, I was like,
Let's
I
spread the
know.
news real quick because something's got to give, okay?
Yeah, it's probably if it's not this, then it's me later in a different way. The point, seeing those numbers of like my liver not doing well, knowing that I was affecting like my relationship with my boyfriend or fiance now,
Yeah.
like we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be together if I kept drinking. Um, that's for sure.
Did he come to you at one point and was like, yo, girl,
Yeah, a couple of times. It was like a conversation that happened a couple of
lovingly
times. But
maneuver?
it's like that conversation isn't going to, it has to be me. Like it has to be me to go like, like, yeah, that's a weekly call. It's like, it's like, and then
Might change for a little bit, but until you're actually ready to do some work, it's going to end up that
exactly.
way.
Yeah, exactly. And like just with like my friends that had like the mini intervention, it's like, I'm like, I don't have a problem. And like, meanwhile, I'm like drunk before my grandpa's funeral.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, very drunk at his funeral. And like, because that was a hard like loss for me. So, that's the only way I knew how to make it a little better. Um, so yeah, like I said, I've always been like I'm a fact person. Like starting the journey, I listened to a lot of Quit Lit, a lot of podcasts, a lot of stories, information about what alcohol does to your body. I was well, I had a friend who her and I were going to AA together in the beginning. I started to go to AA before I actually stop. Like I'd still be drinking
Oh, interesting.
for the
Okay.
first I don't know, for a few months I was going to AA and I was still like drinking,
Yeah.
but
Good for you.
was
Good for you.
yeah, I was still trying to like get a handle on it. So
Yeah.
I did do AA like for the first like before I stopped for like 3 months, and then I was probably going. I wasn't really totally in the AA. Like I went for the meetings that I liked, like the ones that go back. We'd be reading the book. Is like you go around the room and you take the everyone. And I love to read out loud, so I was like, I didn't want to talk necessarily. I didn't really want to share much of my
Like,
story.
give me a
But I was
script.
like, I'll read. Like I will read this book to you as long as you'll let me, you know. And
Yeah.
so like the first 6 months of my sobriety, I was probably going at least once a week to like AA meetings with a like friend, and I was getting chips and that was like encouraging, and I think I needed that in the beginning. And then I did get like my 1 year chip from AA. I never got a sponsor, really did any of the steps necessarily. I was listening, my side stuff was like listening to all that Quit Lit, listening to a lot of so many audiobooks. I was all my online Instagram sober community, getting involved with the like your sober pal later. Um, and
And she's
but
funny as hell, by the way. If you guys are listening to this,
she's
I don't know her real
hilarious.
name, but on
Laura,
Instagram, yeah,
yeah, shout
yeah,
out to
you're so
Laura.
pal. She makes funny ass reels about like when she used to drink and like party, and then like waking up from like a drunk nightmare or something. Like she's just really, really creative and funny, and she's got a great personality. And yeah, now
Mhm.
she hosts events, which is interesting because my client the other day, who I'm dear friends with, she had told me that she had went on one of hers like
Oh, really?
up in Mount Shasta too, and
Okay.
I couldn't remember
Yeah.
your location. I was like, "Oh, did you meet a girl named Brenna there?" Because she just told me she went on one of those. So like, she's really getting
Oh,
some
yeah. Yeah.
people
No,
together.
totally. Yeah, she does. I think she had one in North Carolina this year. I know. I want to go to another one. It
You
just
do.
It
Where were
hasn't
you in
aligned for
your
me
where were you in your sober journey when you pulled the trigger on that?
to go to the. So
Yeah.
that's a funny story. So the I actually signed up for one of her uh I signed up for one of her events in 2024 and got accepted, and then I backed out. I was like, I don't think I've been sober long enough. Like, give it to someone else, who has more under their belt. Like, because it was my first year and I was still kind of
Yeah.
like in the, uh, my sobriety date is, I guess, I don't know what people consider it. It's like the last day you drink or it's the first day you're not drinking. The first day you're not drinking, 1/1/24. So it was
Oh
like,
wow.
so I'm still in year three, right? So
Nice.
still pretty early bird.
Girl, that's
But
a
it's
freaking lifetime goal for so many people. Seven
yeah,
times a week is like,
true.
so like that is you've gone the distance. So we always see it like that. Like, oh, I'm so like early, but you have done the work, you have gone the distance, you have maintained over 2 years of sobriety. That is
Mhm.
something to be very, very proud of.
Yes, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
very welcome. I'm like, I need to
Um,
reiterate this because, yeah,
yeah, we're so hard on ourselves, right? But
totally.
yeah, actually, so I didn't go the first time, even though I got accepted, because I was so nervous. Like, I was just like, there's, I don't feel I belong there. So I applied again and she accepted me again. And so I was still so nervous because I was flying to Washington State for it. Um, and you're gonna get bunked with a person you don't know. And so, like, but I'm so glad, and I watch them all the time, and I see them, and I'm like, I want to go so bad. I'm so
Yeah, you're
jealous
like,
of all the
oh,
people that could go
yeah.
because she does a great job of creating like an environment. Like, she might pull someone like if somebody, one of the girls who was like the co-host. Her name's Chelsea. She's based out of Kansas City, and she does a lot of yoga, or she's a yoga instructor. So sober yoga instructor, and that's how she's come into the community. So she was like, she kind of has a co-host, and then they provide all the, just a great experience. Usually start every day with yoga, and then just go on hikes and,
So fun.
um, but yeah. So that, I mean, and then like I said in the beginning, really go into that was I didn't really go into it thinking like, oh, I'm gonna go start my own sober community, but through all the conversations that we had there at the retreat and like meeting some of the other girls and like talking about, jobs and personal life and things, I was like, it'd be funny. I was like, if I had a sober community, you know what I'd call it? Slo.ber.cal, ha ha ha. Like
Yeah.
sometimes like punny, and everyone's like, I love that name. I don't like the word sober to me is just kind of, but it worked. So I had to go with it because I
I
was
love
like getting a
it.
kick out of it. And then probably the next week after I got back, I started the page and started to be like, okay, how can maybe I could do monthly things, and maybe I could make it throughout slow so I could try to hit a different city every month. So that's what I've done. Try
Yes.
to find all the something to do in like that city. Like I have all the cities planned out through December. I'm already thinking of into next year, what cities have
Good.
I not done, you know?
Yeah, that's great.
So, and there's places I want to go back to, like Morro Bay. They have there's that kava bar, Lumen,
Human Earth
yeah,
Apothecary,
Lumen Earth Apothecary.
Sierra
Thank you.
and Summer. The
Yes,
best
they're
of the
so nice, so
best.
nice.
Obsessed.
I mean, I've gone there by myself, but I think it'd be really. I'm actually gonna do my bachelorette party there.
Yes, cute.
So
Oh my gosh, that's actually so cute. Their vibe is so dope. Like, I love
yeah, and she knows about it, so and we've talked about it, so um but I want to be able to bring others there. Like so sometime next year, going back to Morro Bay, maybe sooner than I would line up in terms of how my brain works. Like, no, but you haven't hit these other five cities, I'm like, well, I want to go to Morro Bay. I want to go to Morro
go with
Bay.
it. Yeah, go with it, girl. So
Yeah.
I want to go back to just kind of briefly, like, what was the moment in which I know you said you had attempted to stop drinking a few times, and then the time that stuck, you had like legitimately like made a plan for it.
Mm.
Did something happen that was like a turning point for you, or did you just like know and you were like, I need to do this? Like, can you express kind of like what brought you to that point and why you think that actual time stuck for you?
I think there was a lot of like points
Mm-hmm.
that just kind of were stacking up. It was just I wasn't being smooth about my drinking anymore. You know, I'd be drinking one thing in front of others, but maybe I was hiding something somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was getting injured. I was self-injuring. You know, there's just a few injuries that kind of led up to it. Like
Yeah.
my relationship was falling apart. There, you know, I didn't like the person out in the mirror. I have health goals and I've always been very active
Mm-hmm.
and you know, you could go to the gym every day, but if you're drinking garbage like a lot at the nighttime after work, you're going to the gym is pointless. I'm just, you know, hamster in a,
Can't
you know,
it.
hamster wheel. Like it's just it wasn't so really I think I got to the point because I was listening to Quitlet and stuff and like I said I was stringing together like oh 30 days here oh I can moderate nope 40 days here oh I can moderate oh do 75 hard because oh that'd be the longest you've ever gone like I did two 75 hards like one in 2023 or one in 22 and one in 23 and it was like, look, I did 75 days, you know, like I'm not an alcoholic or, you know, always trying to rationalize myself as why, like I
Yes.
don't have a problem.
That's so
Look, you did
normal.
75 days. Like you did 75 days. Yeah, well, I'll just come and raging hard all over again. Doesn't matter. Those 75 days didn't mean anything. Just come right back to right where I picked up and
Exactly.
left off on day one, you know? So I think it was, I don't think there was just one thing. I think it had just been building up for years. And I had to just be like, you know, like I think in the beginning I was like, oh, I missed it. Because I had the culture, my family. It's all like at all my family events. I felt like an outcast. I was like, oh, I just want to be normal and I can't. So it's like acknowledging that and accepting that like, you know, that's it's either none or all. I'm one of those, and I think that you hear that's pretty common. You know, it's not like I drank during the day, really. You know, I mean, unless it was like a weekend, but
Mm-hmm.
I, you know, go to my job. Then as soon as work was over, straight to the store. You know, I never kept alcohol in my house. That's the thing. I had a lot of expensive wine, but I was pretty strict on not drinking that, especially because I drank by myself um frequently. I wouldn't drink my good wine. Like it would stay there, but I would go to and then I wouldn't have any other alcohol in my house. And then I'd go to the store and only buy what I planned on drinking until, you know, I
Interesting.
ran out. I had to go back to the store.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting concept. Okay, so
Yeah.
that time stuck, you planned it out, and here you are about 2.5 years in, 2 years and 7 months in. You're the founder of this amazing community led project that brings sober people together in community. Um, I, would, I would say that's pretty amazing transformation.
Yeah, thanks.
And I ask everybody this, and I
Hmm.
did a little like, um, I like put all these pieces together of everybody kind of like offering up what they would say to somebody, you know, that came to them and was maybe struggling, was like, I need help, where do I start? What would be your best advice, kind of thing. And what would you say to somebody that is in a position where you used to be?
Um, I think first it's like find the community, find a community that works for you. And like if you're not really sure where to go, I always say, you know, try an AA meeting if that and see if that is what works for you, because just because it doesn't work for everybody doesn't mean that's not the stepping stone that that person needs. You might find your people there.
Everybody
um
does it.
yeah, so or and
Everybody
then
wants to
then
do it,
there's
and then it's the thing that helps everybody
yeah,
get
it's
on
I
their
mean
feet.
that's where I started. I mean, and then I always be like, oh, look online, just because I think if whatever we surround ourselves with is what we like become. So if I'm on the internet and, like I had to unfollow a bunch of pages, like people that are just like drinking constantly or like
Yeah,
promoting that lifestyle, like I had to like take that away. I don't really even use my own personal page very much anymore, but my new page has just become like motivation and recovery and so I mean sometimes if you can't find the community in person, then try to find the community online, in
yeah,
Instagram, Facebook, community boards, even Nextdoor app. I mean, that's why I try to advertise some of my events is through Nextdoor app, even though it just hits this like small community in Oceano. Um, but I think and then give yourself grace too, because so probably like community, and then be easy on yourself, because it's not it's not easy.
yeah. Thank you. That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah,
It's
welcome.
beautiful. Well, I think we're good. I think, do you feel like you've got everything that you kind of wanted to say on here? Is there anything that, you wanted to get across or share in this space? Or,
Um, not really. I mean, I think one thing is like no matter your background, like in life, like whatever your job is, your education, if if you're if you're an addict, addiction hits anybody, you know. It doesn't care what you do for a living or what you've done, it doesn't care.
yeah.
So that's just that. I mean, like that's the main thing. Because I mean, I might have been. I always was a like high performer in college, at my jobs, had multiple jobs, and I was like closet struggling with drinking too much. So you know that's I guess that'd be my point. And I think that as long as people understand that it hits anybody, and it's not just like, oh, that they're the problem. It's just that there's no judgment in addiction, whatever your choice of substance is. You just have to, if you want to make the change, then it is possible to make
Hmm.
the change. You just have to do the work and fight for it, just like you figured out a way to fight. Because, like, think about all the energy we put into getting our alcohol. Like, imagine if we took all that energy into something that's beneficial to us. So many great things come out of people who used to use or drink because they have all this natural energy that they were trying to suppress with their use. And then, like, now they build amazing things, or they have
Totally.
a ability to build amazing things because they took that away from themselves.
Yeah. The energy of an addict is like freaking insatiable. Like you will find a way. Like there's no getting in the way of you and your addiction. Like you can get so creative and you know
Hmm.
and when you turn that around, when you it's okay. I always say, like, it's okay to have an addictive personality. Just learn how to channel it and use that energy towards the good, the better good of the world, the better good for yourself, for your family, for your friends, whatever, like, fulfills your soul and spirit. Like, do that. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Because whatever you choose to channel that energy into will be successful. We
Yes.
have a
Yeah.
lot of it, like, and I see people do it all the time that were really, really struggling, and the ones that had to go through the worst shit, like, they end up making the biggest difference in the world.
Hmm.
They understand that, and uh, yeah, sometimes you got
Yeah.
to go through all that to get on the other side and to be who you're here to become, actually, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I did actually, that reminded me of I saw this video recently and it was this guy and he's like, does a if a like crackhead runs on a crack, do they just give
Well,
up?
hell no.
No, they go for like no,
Hell no,
they
they
find a
don't.
way to get it, you know?
Period. They will go
Yeah.
the distance.
And so it's like taking that mindset and like knowing that or alcohol for me, it's like I found a way I could find a way to do so many other things with that energy and hopefully help someone else who doesn't know where to start or like have the community because I mean I want people to not to just come and literally it's supposed to be chill, you're just getting a snack at the Slo.ber.cal events, like getting a snack, getting a coffee, getting your tea,
Yeah.
getting your water, whatever. uh and then just like cheerily like look at this, look at that, oh look at this beautiful place we're so blessed to live in, you
Hmm.
know
Yeah.
so
100%.
mhm.
Well, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and energy today. It means the world. I will have all of your links up. So if anybody wants to get in touch with Brenna and see her previous and upcoming experiences, I will have those all listed for everybody. And a way to get in touch to follow this amazing woman.
Yeah, well thanks, Christy.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'll see you soon. We'll talk separately about other things, so
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, we'll
looking
be
forward to those, and let me know about
in
the August thing that you're planning
touch. I
too,
will,
because we could talk about that too.
for sure.
Okay,
Be
well have a
wonderful.
good Friday. I'll
Thank
talk to
you
you
so
soon.
much, Brenna. Okay,
Bye.
bye.